they, clients want to know what's next. Clients want to know what can you do to help me in addition to just your normal services. And I think Giancarlo, I think he's got something really good there going, that if you've got some investors and things like that you're working with that don't have a strategy in place, he's definitely a great resource to go to. So I thought that was really, really great. I mean, I picked up some great information on that about, I've talked to so many different investors and they don't have a good strategy in place like this. And I mean, some of these things that they were talking about, I think that was really good. So great resource there. So thank you for letting me hear that today.
Yeah, for sure. No, I actually thought the same. Again, it's just a different approach. We have a bookkeeper and we have a tax person, a CPA. So two totally different things, but if you don't know, I guess you don't know what you don't know, so let's so no, definitely use this contact. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman that I've also known for quite some time, being a part of my other brokerage before we opened Phoenix Real Estate Group. He enlightened us with a lot of good information at our Home Smart Elite meetings. And so I'm excited to have him join us. Just a quick introduction. He's from the Joseph's Appraisal Group, the owner and founder president. He's been appraising home for over 30 years. He's a certified real estate appraiser, valuation and green sustainable buildings in the state of Arizona. He's the president of Jagged Real Estate School and a state certified instructor. He's also the founder of a Value Trend Solution appraisal management company. He's just an awesome guy. I've heard him speak a couple of occasions. He'll also be speaking next week at our the Great event, hosted by Great American Title, and Nicole's on this call as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Jay Josephs. Thank you for being with us this morning, sir.
Thank you. Can you guys all hear me? We good?
Yes.
Thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it, and happy to come and speak to you a little bit about appraising. And it's nice that you care about this topic, because I'll go home tonight, sit around with my 4 boys and my wife, and nobody cares. So I have to outsource the caring because nobody in my family cares about any of this stuff. So I think in a pretty short amount of time, I can make you a little better at your job. And that's the goal of this is, I think for me, it's about protecting your clients, like being there for your clients and holding their hands start to finish. And I think knowing a little bit more about my process will help you protect your clients. So just really quick, I ran some numbers this morning and it was a little bit alarming. It's the first time I've seen us with a listing inventory over 25,000 in a while. I was used to seeing 22, 23,000. As of 10 minutes ago, 25,034 listings. That's it was a little startling to me. I didn't expect that, because I got used to seeing 23,000, and so not great. In terms of under contracts, all your categories of that, 7,600. It's not terrible. It's a little lower percentage. That's one of the numbers I look at, is percentage of under contract versus listings. Numbers are down a little bit. From an appraisal perspective, my job's gotten a little tougher over the last few months because sales are also down. And all I'm doing, you guys can do this too, is Arizona Regional MLS sales from August 1st to the end of August. And here's the trend. I ran them from April forward. In April, we sold 7,300 homes. In May, 7,100 homes. June, 6,600 homes. July, 6,200 homes. August, 5,900 homes. So that's 5 months of declines, which for you means smaller, fewer commission checks, obviously. For me, it makes appraisals tougher because I like to focus on recent data. And, when we were crushing it, we were selling over 12,000 homes a month. And it was really easy to find your recent sales when we had so many. But when we're getting below 7,000, it starts to get a little tougher. So it changes my approach a little bit. I'm forced to kind of broaden my search parameters and also use older sales. So hopefully it'll turn around. I think we're getting a little bit of relief with interest rates. At least the projections are we're going to get rate some rate cuts. So hopefully things will get better, but this is kind of the worst I've seen it in a while. In terms of things you can do to make yourself involved in the appraisal process, I have a few suggestions. The first is, if you have a tough appraisal, okay, you put something in escrow and it's either difficult because your contract's on the high side of the range, or it's a nuanced area. You know what I mean by that, right? Like where if you don't know the neighborhood and you cross a street, you've changed zip codes, like nuance like that. Historic neighborhoods. If you're in Willow Historic District, you want to make sure they don't go to Coronado Historic District or Oakland Historic District or all that stuff. So if you have a nuanced neighborhood where you think an appraiser needs to have some locational expertise, if you're writing anything down, write this term down: geographical competency. The number one reason I see appraisals where the conclusions are wrong is because the appraiser didn't understand the neighborhood they were appraising in. And I have a really good example for you because it happened to me. So I found a property in a community called Briarwood. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Briarwood, but I was doing an appraisal in there and I noticed a really low price listing. I got a partner, we made an offer, we got the house, we got an escrow. We're in escrow at $505,000. The last 6 comps in Briarwood were in the 800,000 range. Okay. And so I'm like, all right, we got a pretty good deal. I know this is a little smaller and it backs a busy street or whatever. But the appraisal came in at, drumroll, $505,000, exactly the sales price. I don't know if you've ever seen that happen before, but it drives me nuts in appraising because it's not our job to say it's worth exactly what you're paying for it. It's our job to tell you what we think it's worth. So then I go back and look, and have any of you ever heard of Briarwood? Briarwood is unique for one major reason. This is at Scottsdale Road and McDonald. It's unique because it's on leased land. There's only a few subdivisions in all America County, Copa County, that are leased land. There's some Briarwoods, there's a Santa Tomas, there's Scottsdale House, there's Camelback House. There's hardly any. And so when you're appraising in a neighborhood like Briarwood, you want to use Briarwood comps. This appraiser, who is not geographically competent, who came from far away to this house, didn't know it was on leased land, didn't use any of the sales in the 800s or 700,000s or 600,000s in Briarwood, and went to non-leased land, inferior neighborhoods, and completely blew this deal. So for you, you shouldn't assume that that appraiser that's calling you knows the neighborhood. You don't know how that appraiser was signed. Is that fair? When you get a call, you put a deal in escrow, you're the listing agent, you get the call. You have no idea how that appraiser was picked for this job. We used to own a national appraisal management company, so I know this issue very well. And there are certain companies and certain banks who are good at this, who say, oh, you're in Arcadia, I better give you somebody in Arcadia. You're a horse property in North Scottsdale, I need to find my specialist in horse properties. But that's not most people. The reality is, in most cases, that appraiser is just who's ever up next in the rotation. Mm-hmm. And if you just put an $11 million house in Paradise Valley in escrow, and the next one up is coming from Levine, guess who's taking a field trip to Paradise Valley? Maybe he's never been to Paradise Valley before. Maybe he's never seen an $11 million home. Your deal's at risk. Your deal is just at risk. And I see it all the time where the appraiser doesn't know you can't go here, or you shouldn't go here, or it's okay to go there, and your deal is screwed up. So if you ever have a transaction where you think that somebody needs to know your neighborhood to do a good job, I think you need to interview these appraisers. And I'm going to give you 3 questions that you can ask the appraiser that I think will give you some understanding about whether they're locationally competent, whether they're experienced, and whether they're professional. And if you're taking notes, will you write down 2 words for me right now? Be nice, no matter what, because appraisers won't like you asking them questions. So I would start this conversation off with, hey, thanks for calling. You and I have never worked together before. my sellers have asked me to ask you a few questions. Okay. Any professional appraiser is not going to have a problem with that. The first question that I would ask, because I want to test their knowledge. I don't want to trust what they say. I want to be able to test it. So the first question I would ask is, hey, can you give me an idea what geographical boundaries you're going to use to look for comps? If I know your neighborhood, I can answer that. If I have no idea where I'm going, that's tough. Okay. And you might not get the exact answer you want, but if they're willing to engage you and talk about it and just say, hey, I'm probably going to stay east of Tatum, north of Greenway, whatever it is, you'll get some insight as to whether they know the neighborhood or not. And I think that's the most important thing. Okay. Second question I would ask is, are you certified? There's two levels of certification in my industry. There's certified general, which is more of a commercial designation, but they can do residential. And there's certified residential, which is what I am. It's what most appraisers are. Between certified general and certified residential, that's about 80% of the industry. Okay. So you saying I only want to work with the certified appraiser, it's not unreasonable. It's just saying you don't want to work with the bottom 20%. Who does, right? So you should be concerned if you're getting a call from a licensed appraiser, because that you can get a license now in 6 months, and you have to trust me on this. Appraising is really hard. It takes a long time. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years into this business, I was not a good appraiser. I thought I was, but now the benefit of hindsight, I wasn't a good appraiser. And so you don't want to work with somebody who's new to the business. And by the way, if you're getting a call from just a licensed appraiser, there's a good chance that they were picked because they were the cheapest option. That's the general characteristic of a licensed appraiser, is they don't have as much work, they're less experienced, and they're willing to work for less money. And there are appraisal management companies that are out there finding the cheapest appraiser, not because they're passing the savings on to the buyer. It just means they can increase their profit margin. So I would not want to work with a licensed appraiser. If it's a trainee, I for sure would not want to work with them. So that's a really important question. The third question that I would ask is, I'd like to meet you out at this property and provide a package. I just want to make sure that's okay. Every so often I hear the story about that appraiser that says, nope, if you're going to meet me there, you can open the door and wait outside. I really just would rather use my lockbox. The most impactful you will be in the appraisal process is meeting the appraiser, providing them a package, and talking to them about that package. And if an appraiser doesn't want you there or won't give you that opportunity, they're depriving you of the chance to do the best job for your client. Okay. So those are the three questions. If I like the way the conversation goes, easy, I set the appointment. If I don't like it, what was the first thing I asked you guys to write down? This is be nice, right? Say, hey, let me check with my sellers, or let me check my schedule. I'll get back to you. And then you nicely get off the phone with them. And then you're going to have to call the loan officer, and you can tell them the story and why you're not comfortable with that appraiser. I would ask to speak to the decision maker. Typically, there is an appraisal desk. Most lenders have an appraisal desk, and I want to tell the story to that appraisal desk, because they're typically the ones that assign the work, and they made a bad job. They assigned this to an incompetent appraiser. There might be an appraisal management company. If there's no appraisal desk, ask to speak to the appraisal management company. If you're persistent and unyielding, I think 90% of the time they'll give you a new appraiser. Okay. You might have just saved your transaction by doing that. So the first step is interviewing the appraiser. The second step is make an appraisal package. Don't lose that opportunity to provide information. And I think it works out much better if you're meeting them there and you're opening the folder and you're handing them the package and you're highlighting the things in the package. That's the most impactful. All right. You can say, hey, it's vacant on lockbox. I'm going to leave a package on the kitchen counter, but you really know if they've read it? Or you might say, I'm going to email you the comps. Do you really know for sure if they've looked at them? I know the tricks. I click on the link, which means you're going to get notified that I saw it, but it doesn't mean I've actually looked at your comps. So you want that exchange, I think, is the most helpful thing you can do. So let's talk about what belongs in that package. I would always put a copy of the purchase contract. Okay. I just reviewed an appraisal yesterday where the appraiser thought it was an escrow at 310, missed the counteroffer where it's actually an escrow at 330. It's a condo on Camelback Road. Guess what the appraiser came in at?
310.
Okay. And now their deal's in trouble. It's 330, but now that appraiser, here's what you should know about that scenario, why it is a real tough thing for your deal. So now the appraiser's in a tough spot because the underwriter is going to go back to the appraiser and say, hey, here's the counteroffer. You need to change the contract section of your report. Okay. So that's easy. He's going to have to change the contract section of the appraisal to 330 from 310. But now he's in a tough spot because the underwriter has a document with his signature saying his opinion of value is 310. If he all of a sudden changes it to 330, he has professional risk. He is at risk of the underwriter realizing he's a numbers hitter and is not a valued, trustworthy appraisal partner, and he might lose a whole client over this, right? So now he's in this position where the right thing to do is objectively look at it and what would he have appraised it at if he knew the contract was 330. But I just don't think those are fair processes. So bring a copy of the counteroffer, staple the counteroffer on top, and highlight the sales price. Just don't put yourself in that position. The second and third things that I would put in there, and if you want to combine them, that's fine. A features list. Tell me all the upgrades. Hopefully I'll see them all at the inspection, but upgraded insulation in the attic I'm going to miss. 16 SEER, high efficiency air conditioning unit I'll probably miss. So just kind of a summary. Obviously, if you have no upgrades, you can skip this step. But it's a story. You're helping me tell the story to the underwriter, and I'll typically scan and include that in my appraisal. Okay. The next thing, and again, if you need to combine it, that's fine. But I like a chronological list of improvements that have been made to the house. Give me the year, tell me what was done, and how much it cost. And if you have exact numbers, great. I don't want receipts, but if the sellers keep great records and they tell you exactly these numbers, that's great. Otherwise, just put plus or minus or an estimate. 2024, new roof, $28,000. 2022, brand new kitchen, cabinets, counters, appliances, $48,000. Between those two documents, you might convince an appraiser to make adjustments for quality of construction or condition, where maybe if they didn't have all that information, they wouldn't have made it. So that's a really good way to help your client. So last thing are comps. I've never seen an effective appraisal package that didn't include comps. If you're writing things down, never less than 3 comps, never. And the reason I say that, because you'll never see an appraisal with less than 3 comps. And if you are the realtor that meets me and you hand me 1 comp, I've met you 1,000 times before, and I know what that means. I can see the sweat coming down your brow. You have no other comps that support your contract price, and that's not how appraising works. 1 comp does not make an appraisal. So force yourself to do at least 3. On the high end, 6, 8, or 10. I don't know what the number is. I wouldn't bring more than 10. At some point, it's just too much for the appraiser to look at. Really important here, don't ignore the bad stuff, okay? I understand when you're giving me comps, you're trying to find comps that justify your contract price. I know that. But too many realtors say, okay, the house that sold yesterday next door for $50,000 less, I'm going to leave that out of the package because I'm going to hope the appraiser misses it. I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to miss it. You're way better off bringing it, highlighting it, and telling me why your house is better. That's being proactive. Don't leave that to chance, because if you don't mention that comp, the appraiser's going to find it, and then they're not going to know that there was green carpet, or the kitchen smelled like tuna fish, or was a divorce sale. They won't catch any of those things. And now you're at risk that that comp's going to support a lower number than it actually should. Okay. Listings and pendings, most appraisals you see will have at least one listing or pending. So make that part of your package. Pendings are better, and lower price listings are more important. I say this all the time. I can find overpriced listings without your help. It's the lower price listings that make me nervous. If you're an escrow at 800,000 and a house next door is actively listed, same floor plan for 750, that concerns me. And so I would rather you put it in your package and tell me why your house is better than that. And then let's talk for a second on pending sales, because this is an evolving opinion of mine. Pendings, I think, are really important. And I wouldn't just include them in your package. I would call the agents on them. Okay. And here's why. First of all, I would ask them two questions. I would say, hey, could you tell me what it's in escrow at? Most of the time they won't, but I've learned they'll give you enough hints they want to tell you that by the end of the call, I know almost exactly what it's under contract at. So by just asking the question, I think you'll get some good insight if they're close to list price, at list price, over list price. The second and maybe more important question, guys, is when's it closing? Okay, and here's why. Let's say it's Wednesday. Let's say that is closing, that pending sale that you like, that supports your contract price. Let's say that's closing on Monday. Okay, if you let me in the house today, I'm a 7, 8, 9 comp guy normally. I give you a lot of data. That's my 9th comp. It's my 9th comp because it's my least relevant comp. It's the comp I'm going to give the least weight to because it's not closed, and it may not close. Fair to say, right? They don't always close escrow. So that's the comp I'm going to give the least weight to. But if you say, hey, I'm going to put you off until Tuesday, so you're doing the inspection on Tuesday, and that closes on Monday, that goes from being my least relevant comp to being my most relevant comp, where I can give the most weight to that. That can have the most impact on the conclusion. And so manage that stuff. And if you're not in jeopardy of having your close of escrow go over by pushing that appraiser off a few days, then you should do it. So I think those are the things that I kind of highlighted to talk about today, that I think will make you a better appraiser. We have a class. We have 2 classes, and I recommend them both. We have a 3-hour class for credit. It's 3 hours of CE called Understanding the Appraisal Process. Earl has my contact information, and some of the times they're booked and they're for like private groups. But if you want to know when the next ones are available, reach out to us and we'll get you signed up. And then we also have a 1-hour comp class, running comps like an appraiser, that I think is really helpful for 2 reasons. One, I think it'll help you price listings. And 2, I think it'll help you develop a pattern, a process for which to run comps to bring with you to give to the appraiser. So I'm not here to sell any of my wares. I'm here to support you guys, but I do think those are 2 classes that can help you out. But I'm here to answer any questions. Whatever you guys have for me, I'm here for you.
Yeah, no, that was awesome information, Jay. I appreciate you so much. On the screen, your QR code that leads them to your website is there for those classes. It's not me. I got to give Brian credit for that.
Thanks,
I don't even know how to make a QR code, but so yeah, if you scan that QR code, you'll be linked right to his contact information. Cool. I do recommend both those classes. I want to say I took the comp class a while back, the 1 hour, but I need to hop in the 3 hour because I definitely think it would help when trying to price these listings. And with that being said, I was going to ask you, do you recommend that sellers do an appraisal prior to listing?
Only sometimes. Okay. It's a great question. I think that, look, there's times where you don't need my help. Like it's just there's a ton of comps like Briarwood. That dude didn't need, I didn't think he would have needed my help.
Sorry.
So I think sometimes they're easy and you don't need us. I think if you have a seller who doesn't care, like, because you run across them, you're recommending we listed at 700 and we're like, I don't care, I'm not selling if it's less than 825. We don't help those people.
Right.
But for the other scenarios, I think we're a great partner. I really do. And then sometimes you'll submit my appraisal, you'll sit down with your buyer or your sellers to go over it, and they don't like the number, then you kind of agree, hey, we'll give it 2 weeks at your number.
Right.
But if it doesn't sell in 2 weeks, the best possible time we can sell your home, can we take a second, look at this appraisal and get realistic? And I think that if it doesn't get the reaction you want on day 1, on day 14 or day 30, knowing that that appraisal is sitting there, I think that, you know, it softens up the seller. So I think we help in that regard. A service that I recommend every time, like I wish more people did it, is to have the house measured, even if you're not doing an appraisal. The reality of it is our measurements are larger than the county, like 80% of the time. And what I mean is 80% of the time when I'm done taking my laser to it and I go back and I put it on my sketch program, the square footage is more than what the county says. And if our base measure job's like $175 and we're 25 feet larger than what the county says, what a great investment that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting more money, you're going to get more traffic. And those Cuba Casa or those things that you can measure yourself,
yeah,
they're great for floor plans. The floor plans are very pretty, but their square footage is not accurate. It's not accurate. And I get nervous for those of you who use those things and use their square footage in your listings, and you list, well, I don't even know what you'd list as your source, because you're not an appraiser.
Not an appraiser or county. That's what the says. So yeah.
So we turn those things around typically in 24 to 48 hours. I think there's a good chance if you wanted to, you could get the sellers to pay for it or say, hey, I will pay. And as long as you don't cancel the listing during our listing period, I won't ask for a refund. But if you cancel before the 6-month listing ends or whatever, then you have to pay. So,
okay. I think Brian has a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Hey Jay,
Thanks for being here.
Called Adam's doctor.
Let me hold on.
Makes sense.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you.
All right, so I got lots of notes, 4 pages of just your presentation, and 3 questions came up to my mind. You mentioned about the cheaper appraisers that may show up. Do those ever get linked to a particular pre-qual on our end? Because I know it's random.
I don't know what
I know it's random, but do you ever just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's always from a big bank?
Yeah. So, okay. So one of the problems is the biggest wholesale lender in the nation, they happen to own the Phoenix Suns without me mentioning their name. They use lousy appraisal management companies. They're very driven on quick and cheap. And if you're getting a lot of business from them, it's because you're quick and cheap as an appraiser. That's not our niche. So Rocket Mortgage does not care about appraisals at all. They just don't. So I think the bigger lenders are the ones you're gonna run the most risk with. I like kind of the local regional lenders. They seem to care more about appraisers and appraisals, and they pay a fair wage. So yeah, I would get nervous if you're doing a deal and
For sure. I'm kind of linking the next questions to that too, because in the years that I've been doing this, a lot of the times I'm trying to connect the dots. And if the appraiser says, I don't have super key access, can you meet me at the property? That should be a red light for us, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I just don't know how you operate as an appraiser without a lockbox key. I think does that mean they're a part-time agent? Do they have no money? I don't know what it is.
No, because it happens on our end and you start, okay, I got to get this package real clean and simple and be there to present it. And that's what us agents should be aware of.
Yeah, I think any professional full-time appraiser should have a lockbox key for sure. And by the way, and they shouldn't use it without getting your approval.
My third and last question, concessions. We all know those are self-reported by the agent after closing. Sometimes that information could be inaccurate. Sometimes they use the wrong line, whether it's money or percentages. Does that ever cause an issue for you?
It causes an issue for you. Yes. Like, so the industry is not, the appraisal industry is not uniform in how they handle concessions. But so like my first 10 years as an appraiser, I went based on what my first mentor told me the first day, 1990, I'm just out of college. And I said, hey, we're doing this appraisal on McCormick Ranch. How do we handle seller concessions on the comps? And his answer was, as long as they're less than 3% of the purchase price, don't worry about it. So for 10 years, I just, okay, that's what he tells me, I'm going to do it that way. The reality is if you're looking at an appraisal and you see an adjustment for a pool or a garage or a view, what that appraiser is saying is those things impact the sales price of that comp. So as an appraiser, we need to adjust for them. Does that make sense? It's really important. So now let's talk about seller concessions. If you have two offers, you're listing at $500,000. You have two offers. One of them is full price, $500,000, but they want $10,000 in seller concessions. And the other offer is for $491,000, no concessions. Which one do you think your seller will take? The 491, right? Because they're going to net more money. And if you agree with that scenario, you're acknowledging that concessions impact sales prices. And if they impact sales prices, the appraiser should adjust for them. So I am one of those appraisers. Most appraisers feel this way. Fannie Mae feels this way. We should be adjusting for those concessions. So to take it a step further, I'm kind of in a little bit of a battle with Matt, the CEO of Arizona Regional MLS. I like him, but he's not listening to me. And I've cornered him twice in big groups, and I still haven't gotten the result I wanted. In Tucson, there's two lines for concessions. There's financial concessions, which I should adjust for, and repair concessions. And MLS only has one line, concessions. And repair concessions, as an appraiser, I can make a case that I shouldn't be adjusting for those, because if I adjust those in the concessions line, I would want to put them back in the condition line. Does that make sense? You're taking the concession because there's some deferred maintenance that's not going to be done. By Tucson breaking it down. So right now in MLS, if Arizona Regional MLS, you're going to show 10,000 in concessions, I'm going to make a minus 10,000 adjustment to that comp. If it's actually 6,000 in repair concessions and 4,000 in financing concessions, instead of a $10,000 adjustment to comp one, I'd make a $4,000 concession adjustment, which means comp one would comp out $6,000 higher. So if you're giving comps to the appraiser and you see concessions and you somehow know that those concessions were for repairs, in lieu of repairs, let the appraiser know. But otherwise, we're just relying on the MLS information. I wouldn't expect the appraiser to call every agent and say, hey, I'm just making sure you didn't screw this up, that this is the number. So yeah, it's a good point. And one other thing on concessions, it's going to seem unfair, but if if the subject sold with $10,000 in concessions, you're in escrow with $10,000 in seller concessions, and comp one sold with $10,000 in concessions, I'm still going to make the adjustment, because I'm not supposed to care as an appraiser about anything associated with the purchase contract. I'm not supposed to care about the purchase price, or if there's personal property, or if there's seller concessions. I only care about the comps. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, it does.
It's a long answer. Sorry about that.
No, it was very helpful.
That was a great answer.
Yeah, thank you. And then I'll see you at the Great American event too.
Yeah, that's a good event. It was nice to be invited back. I think I'm going first which means that they must think that everyone's going to be better, and I'll give them I'll set an expectation super low. And they'll
I
come
do
in.
not think that's true at all.
Oh, you're nice. Thank you.
Dan, I'm sorry, Dan, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Hey Jay. So I'm Dan. I'm a lender actually. So they let me in on this. So
You're
we've
not-
had lots of
you're at
interaction
Rocket?
before, and you've been terrific. What's that?
You're not at Rocket, are you?
No. I was a
He's a
First State
local
Bank
guy.
Mortgage before. Now I'm at Sunflower Bank Mortgage Lending over in
Oh,
Scottsdale.
nice.
So good company.
Yeah.
Hey, so give me an idea. I mean, you answered my question on concessions. That was perfect because we're seeing so much of that come through right now. And I was wondering how that impacts the value of homes over time. Does it generally kind of raise the tide a little bit, or it sounds like you answered it where it kind of stays the same? And then my next question really is, what are you seeing in the next 12 months? I know, look into your crystal ball, give us an idea.
Where we're going to
What
be.
do you think's happening in the next 12 months? Like you obviously said inventory's up, so I'm kind of worried about that.
So I think you guys should all watch inventory. And again, it's just all I'm doing is going to, just anything. So I'm getting condos, I'm manufactured homes. 25,000 is a big number. I haven't seen that number in a long time. But I think I'm not political. I'm independent. This isn't a commentary that I love or hate Trump, but I think Trump really cares about interest rates. And I think that I think there's going to be a time where we're going to have a new Fed guy who is going to focus on getting interest rates down. So I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Dan, what I worry about and what you probably see, and it's a bigger problem, is the affordability for single family homes. And that concerns me long term.
Absolutely.
Like I have,
right. It's all about payment for people.
My oldest son just became a doctor and he married a doctor, and they're doing their residency out in Colorado. And as somebody who has been a real estate investor and a big advocate for owning real estate for a long time, we looked at some things out there and I'm like, you should rent. And that's a bad sign. And another thing is I did an appraisal in this neighborhood and I found a good deal. Like I always look at the listings and I found one that I thought was a good deal, a really good deal, that I was going to rent for a couple of years. And then you run the numbers with the rental income and it just doesn't make sense. And so those are the things that are longer term problems that interest rates would help. But I worry about that. And then Dan, just to say this about you guys, you're working at a local bank, right? Sunflower's local bank. I think the best scenario for getting a good appraisal outcome is working with a local bank, because you're not very far removed from the appraisal process is what I find. And they want good appraisers. And I think if Dan's your preferred lender, guys, that's a great scenario. I really think so.
Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome.
Hey, one more question, and we haven't had this in a while, but when you have to do like a reevaluation of value and things like that, I mean, if you can walk the agents through this, like what does that look like? So you can kind of share that with them.
So, okay. And it's going to sound again like I'm selling my services, and I don't mean to do that, but we do a lot of desk reviews. In fact, I just did one last night. I did two yesterday, desk reviews where either the loan officer or the listing agent or the buyer's agent thinks the appraisal's too low. And I'll walk you through the process, but having us do the desk review, I think serves a couple purposes. If we think it's a bad report, we're going to tell you all the reasons it's bad, reasons that you probably don't even know about. We're going to list all the problems on the appraisal. And that'll give you really good grounds for appeal. Otherwise, Dan, we might say we think the appraisal's good. And then you go back to your sellers and say, look, I hired a reputable appraisal firm. They agree with the number. Let's just accept the offer and move forward. So I think we help in both regards. On the one I just finished, it's the one I told you on Camelback, a condo where they got the contract price wrong and now they won't change their appraisal. I stopped counting at like 30 mistakes on one appraisal. Like everything. There were so many things wrong. And at the end of it, I'm like, you can't, because I owned a large appraisal management company for a lot of years. It's not defensible. And so what you want 1 out of 2 outcomes when you appeal an appraisal. And it's important that you know this. You either want the appraiser to change their value, or you want the lender, the underwriter, the appraisal management company to deem the appraisal flawed. And if they deem it flawed, like they should do on that one on Camelback, hopefully I'll find out by the end of the day today, they need to pay for a new appraisal. And you start over with a clean slate. Because on the appeal process is not fair. It's not fair because we've tried to teach all the appraisers that worked for us, professionalism sometimes involves admitting you've made a mistake and getting it right. And that's what you should do. But there's too many appraisers out there that are like, uh-oh, I now need to defend this because I have professional risk. If I made a big mistake and I don't, and I admit it, that maybe the underwriter or Sunflower Bank doesn't want to work with me anymore because I screwed up so bad. So I spend very little time talking about the appeal process, because if you do everything right on the front end, you'll have much fewer appeals. And so I'm big on being proactive. Filing appeals is reactive. And the other thing you should know is there's a trend in this industry to not let you guys appeal appraisals anymore. Rocket Mortgage, like there was an appraisal that was done that was clearly flawed, and I helped the agent write the appeal, and Rocket Mortgage is like, yeah, we don't accept appeals on this. So
no, that's good. That's great advice. Thank you for all that, Jay. And you guys, just so everybody knows, the reputation that you have in your company is outstanding. Any chance that we see it rotate through, and if I see an offer come in, I'll tell my team, go there, grab them, even if it's an extra day later or whatever it is, go there with you all the time. It's just been an amazing process, and you've done an outstanding job. Can't say enough good things about you, Jay. So thanks for my question.
Dan, can you come over to my house for dinner and say that to my
Yeah, man, you got it.
Anything for a little street cred in my own house would be great. Any other questions for me, guys? I'm here for you. You know where I'm going after this? My wife's a criminal defense attorney.
I was going to say, I heard about that.
She has a murder trial starting today.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy case involving a Phoenix police officer. I don't think he's been in jail for 7 years awaiting trial. Wow. And super stressed, but I hope they win. This is one of those cases where this person does not deserve to be in prison for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I know your assistant shared that with me. So that's another thing. I want to thank you for being here today. And I know you have to go support your wife as well. Again, you've been a huge support for me for the last, years that sometimes you get those random texts from me that say, Jay, what do you think about this? So I appreciate you always answering those questions and, just being here with us. Nicole, you have a quick question for Jay?
I actually just wanted to say, Jay, thanks from one of the other reps from Great America for speaking at the great event. I look forward to hearing from you and Tina and everybody else.
Yeah, thank you. It is a great event. It was a pleasure to be there last year, and felt good to be invited back. I'm sick of going first all the time, though, but that's okay.
I'll talk to Braden.
It's okay. Cool. Hey, thanks, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, everyone. Well, how are we doing? We don't have to take a break. We have a good 15 minutes, but if you need a break or you have any questions that I might be able to answer or Brian can answer, go ahead and shoot. I thought Jay was amazing. Again, he's been a huge help for me in my career, being able to answer the questions about appraisals. And when I'm unsure about an appraisal that's come through, he's been able to even look at them and or I'll ask him a question about a certain upgrade in a house or what you would add for this. So he's been a huge resource for me in my career. So I'm glad that he was able to join us today.
I remember his presentation at last year's event for the great event, and there's a lot more information that he gives than what we heard today. So We emailed out that invite to the whole brokerage. If anybody that's not in the brokerage needs that invite, Nicole can definitely get you over one.
Nicole, can you just briefly go through what's happening next Wednesday before we start?
Yeah, so
Stuff?
there's way more value than just our speakers. We also bring in a bunch of vendors that maybe you haven't seen before, different products that really haven't been utilized yet. So we make sure that we have a lot of vendors there for you guys to network with and be able to be in front of things that are barely coming to our industry, right? Not to mention the fact that you're going to have some incredible speakers. Our panelists this year are some of the top agents in the state. I was actually personally able to bring Frank Azami and Bobby Lieb to the panel, which I think they're going to, if you haven't seen my podcast with either one of them, feel free to go watch it, but invite your realtor friends from outside the group. The link that I sent over to Brian and Earl is actually good for anybody that gets it to get a free ticket from Great American. So keep that in mind. Even if they don't technically work with us, this is an opportunity for them to learn.
Yeah.
So that's a really important thing. Not to mention, it's also getting a chance to see others in our community and be able to talk to them about what they're seeing in the market. We were able to get Tina Tambor this year, which if you haven't seen her in person, she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She is, she actually, I don't know if you know this, but she actually got started off as a title rep and then got into the market statistics. So it's really cool to see her in person. If you haven't, she's huge. Also, I just wanted to mention to everybody that if, even if you're last minute, please let me know. I will make sure that you get in. Okay. I will actually be there. I'm going to be working with a lot of the speakers, interviewing them prior to them going on stage and whatnot. But just let me know, even if you just shoot me over a text. Most of you guys have my cell phone number. If it's day of, let me know and I will get you in. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then as always, if anybody needs anything for the weekend, please let me know and I will get it put in and get your marketing out to you as quickly as possible. I love helping you guys. You guys know you're my favorite. Don't tell anybody else.
Well, thank you, Nicole, for always being our advocate as well. And Brian and I had the opportunity to attend the great event last year.
We'll be there.
And it was amazing. So we'll be there again next Wednesday. It's a great opportunity to collaborate with other colleagues in our industry, but also great title company, great speakers, innovative tools that could help our industry. And that, like she said, they haven't even been introduced yet. Last year, Wise Pelican was there. Well, I send all my postcards through Wise Pelican now. So, I think it's an opportunity for everyone. So if anyone on this call is interested that didn't get that link, just email me or Brian and we'll send it out to you so you can get your ticket and maybe join and sit with us next on Wednesday. So
at the very least, it's a great social media post for your clients 100%. And your sphere to know that you're educating yourself and
it's a great location. It's going to be at the Scottsdale Museum of the Performing Arts. So there's plenty of places to take pictures.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And then so we're going to go through the next step here that, as you know, today, this month is Realtor Safety Month. One of our main priorities here at the Phoenix Real Estate Group is that all of us are safe in our dealings. And unfortunately, we live in a world that is a little wild. And there's some statistics and things that we've been reading over the last couple of weeks that just have blown my mind. So I just want to make sure that we are being safe out there. I know Brian sent out a survey to, I think, everyone, and there's a link here in our meeting for you to answer a survey about your own safety and things that you may have encountered and things that as a brokerage we can do better to help you to meet those. So just a couple of things that I wanted to run through. You want to talk about the statistics?
No, go ahead. You go first.
All right. So ultimately, there's some things. I'll give you some tips. You can take notes, but there's also a couple QR codes that'll be in the next couple of slides where you can get exactly what I'm talking about. But when we talk about safety, there's not just physical safety that we're talking about. Ultimately, we're talking about digital safety. So some of the things that I would recommend that you do is to make sure your device software is up to date. Make sure you're doing the regular security checkups, because again, we keep our clients' information on our computers. Consider VPNs for online transactions to kind of keep your information secure. When you're talking to new clients, verify the identities. I know Lily and I had a conversation about this last week when we were talking about buyer consultations. But if it's the first time meeting a client, I suggest doing a video call or meet them here at the office and just let one of us know so that we can be here with you. But through a video call, you can gauge their personal, you can gauge the person and ultimately see their reactions as you're talking to them. You can combine that with your traditional ID checks when you do meet them to make sure they are who they say they are. I mean, unfortunately, we live in a world where a lot of people imitate to be something that they're not. On number 3, it just says store sensitive information securely. Here at the brokerage, we use .loop to do that for us. So it's a storage locker that we use, or a platform that we use that keeps our information, our clients' information secure. Conduct safety property showings. So when I'm showing a property, typically I arrive a few minutes earlier so I can kind of look at my surroundings. Once you're actually inside the property, always look towards your exits and, make sure that you're just being safe. The E-key lets people know that you operated the lock of the actual, what I'm trying to say, the lockbox. It notifies the other agent that you opened the lockbox. There's also something on the E-key that I don't know if anyone knows this. It's called an alert feature. So if you do feel uncomfortable, on your actual E-key on your phone, there's a feature that says alert in the corner. You do have to go through your Supra to have it set up, but it's a, what corner is it? The left-hand corner?
Far left. Yep.
Far left, it says alert. And once you activate it in your Supra profile and you feel uncomfortable or something's not going right, that actually alerts the authorities. So
mine is not activated.
Mine was not activated as of yesterday either. Couple more things just to run through real quick. Keep it light. So try to show properties in the daylight. Check in as new clients are meeting you at the office or meeting you virtually. Let other people know that you're there, whether that's your family or other agents. Don't be too public when advertising a lot of people advertise without using their photo. But make sure you're not putting your home address or those type of personal things on your business cards. Touch base, let everyone know where you're going and when you're going to be back. So even if that's not another agent or a colleague, it's someone in your family. If you are showing a property with someone that you don't know and no other agents are available, then I would take someone from your family and just leave them in the car, or just so someone is there with you. Let's see. Open house safety, conduct open houses in twos. That's been a big one for us. Fortunately, we have wonderful lending partners like Dan and title partners like Nicole that are out there with us. And I even hear, I don't know if George's still on the call.
Yeah,
Jordan's also been doing open houses with us. So we appreciate that, just to have us out there in twos. It's a lot safer for both of us. Check all rooms and backyards before leaving and lock doors before leaving. Stranger danger. Be sure that we're letting our sellers know not to show houses to people that are walking to their door. Although there might be a sign in the yard, your seller may be apt to sell, so they'll let strangers into the house. So make sure that's a part of your listing presentation, not to let them do that. Pick up self-defense courses. Brian and I have partnered with a gentleman, I forgot the name of his company, but we've hosted 2 self-defense classes for our agents. And just light self-defense. There were some things even he taught me with a flashlight that I thought was amazing. I think, Nicole, you've come to one of those classes before, but light self-defense classes. Let's see, what else do I got here?
I put, ChatGPT is amazing. So I just wanted to add what are some popular self-defense gear that you could purchase on Amazon or go into any kind of store to get. And there's always this little legal disclosure. that you could read there on the screen. The last few screens are NAR PDFs and links. So if you want to, take those QR codes, you could actually get to the site and either print out those PDFs or read them. The two QR codes slowly, or want to stop here real quick. These are podcasts of these individuals, and they go through a lot of statistics about what kind of crimes and what happens and what are their tips. If you ever want to spend about 15 minutes to listen through those, they go into great detail about what to do, what you can do, and why you should have a routine of, don't take the same route to your listings. Don't, put too much stuff on social media about what time and where you're going to be there. And one of the big things is, when we have an open house sign, it's a sign to everybody on the street that you could be in that home by yourself. So you got to take the precautions, having a partner there. We have a lot of agents that bring their spouse. Anybody just needs to be there. An extra set of eyes, being aware of the situation, what's going on around. You could always lock. I used to lock the door, so I know I can make sure that everybody that comes in, I'm meeting. That's just one of my practices that I go through. And Earl mentioned Jason, who who did our self-defense classes a couple times, has offered us to go out and train at Cowtown Shooting Range. If you are that type of person that has a firearm or would like to learn about firearms, we have a space for 4 people.
Yeah, he's offered a special to our agents.
Yeah, it's going to be $50 per person, 3 or 4 hours shooting time at Cowtown. He is a National Rifle Association instructor for rifles, obviously, and for handguns. So I will let you, if you're interested in that, let me know so those 4 spots can get taken, and it'll be on a Saturday in October.
Nice.
That's about it.
So if you have any other questions, it's about safety. As you know, Brian and I are always available. Call us, text us, email us, but your safety is our main priority. So there's some great resources through NAR and Phoenix Association of Realtors that can help you to just know what to do out there. But there's also us. We're the personal resources. So if you need us, call us. Nicole and Dan. Nicole, you have a question?
Sorry, I'm driving.
Okay. Dan, you had a question?
No, it's just a quick comment. So, with all that safety and stuff like that, obviously, if you have any, if you're concerned about it and you can't get your spouse to come or anything like that, just reach out to me. I'm usually in town. I'm just happen to be up here in Utah this week, but let me know. And then there's a lot of properties that actually could be beneficial for me to be there to help you out. But I'm definitely there to help you. And we'll actually do some social media together if you want to do that for fun as well.
Yes, we did.
So, Earl knows all about that, right, Earl?
I do. I was going to say, yes, we did. So there's just a few statistics there that Brian put on the screen right now about just some of the things that have been happening over the last few years. So we want to make sure that our agents are aware of what's going on out there and not oblivious to sometimes the targets that are on our back. So, but again, we're here for support. And if you need anything, just give us a call. And then finally, since we have 2 minutes left, I just wanted to go over our third quarter, kind of what we've done in third quarter. Third quarter, it slowed down a little bit for us. I'm not going to lie. However, we still had some great outcomes for third quarter. So in third quarter, as a broker, we closed 7 transactions for a total of $2.7 million in sales. We had a third quarter highlight, our spotlight, and I want to spotlight Miss Hannah Sanchez for third quarter. Hannah had closed 2 deals in the third quarter, exceeding $800,000. So
nice
Hannah,
job.
Congratulations on that. That's
Way
awesome.
to go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't even realize.
Yeah. So and she's continuing. She has a wonderful listing out in Gilbert. If anyone knows someone that wants to live in Gilbert. Currently, as a brokerage, we have about 800,000 in pending transactions set to close in the next few weeks. And our active listings are at $2.4 million. So hopefully we can get some of those moved. I mean, I think it was pretty encouraging what Jay said as far as how many active listings there are out there. But I have a feeling that ours are better. So let's get these things sold. So Nicole, I know you're driving. I just want to make sure you didn't have a question.
No, I did want to mention though, since you guys brought up AI, there is a class being held that I'm sponsoring for AI and Canva. It will be held at a different brokerage, but if you're interested in coming, everybody's welcome. It is going to be September 30th.
September 30th. Okay. Well, we can get that information from you as well if anyone's interested.
Yeah, with AI being so popular and being able to utilize the new feature with Canva AI, it can make some of your social media posts and other things much easier. Also, keep in mind that just like Tom Ferry recommends, we did purchase the GAT1 app for you guys so that you have Palm Agent. That also has a $10 a year premium feature, which does give you social media posts, and it brands all of your documents to you.
Nice.
I love it. And I use it. So thank you for that. And if anyone's interested in that class, please reach out to Nicole or to one of us and we'll get you that. So we're at 11:31. I don't want to take any more time. I know we're all busy. Does anyone have any questions before I let you go on to your day?
That's a no.
Okay, fantastic. Well, everyone have a wonderful week, remainder of the week. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully the information was helpful. And again, if you didn't get those QR codes, we can send them to you. Feel free to reach out to any of our partners. Dan, thank you for being here. Nicole, thank you for being here. Jordan, also thank you for being here. And to all of our fantastic agents, we're here if you need us. Give me a call.
The recording will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe.
Bye, guys.
All
Like
right.
and subscribe.
Enjoy the day.